Well, hi, good morning, and welcome to my shop. Today is August 5th, and it's been a few days since I posted a video, but I've been working on this radio in the meantime, and I'm going to take a moment to explain why I am not going to post the last couple videos. Oh my gosh, here they are. Ganged up on me already. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop right away and I'm going to go let my cats out. Or that's all we're going to hear for the next bit. Okay, happy cats outside now. So, the last couple of days I've been working on this radio. The things I've been doing have been along the lines of testing and checking. And the results have been negative in the sense that I didn't discover anything, and that's why I'm not posting the videos. But I'll tell you what I did. I decided, because I'm still waiting for capacitors here, so I can replace in particular this one. And those capacitors will come tomorrow, but probably won't be until the next day that I can actually install them. So in the meantime, I'm trying to do things that are useful and productive. And so the radio displays low volume, so I'm after that particular situation. I decided, well, I did do a preliminary test of the tubes. Maybe I should do that again, and maybe I should do some tube swapping and find out if in fact it's not the output tube or something like that. So I went through that process. That's a whole 45-minute video of me testing basically two tubes, and a whole schmozzle that occurred in the midst of it, including difficulties with my tube tester. But the bottom line result of all that testing is probably not related to the output tube or the IF tube or the detector tube. So the low output's coming from somewhere else. I have a little more to say about that, because along with toying around with this, I've been thinking. Oh boy, gosh, I've been thinking. So the next thing I decided to do was why not check all the tube voltages. There should be a plate voltage on every tube of some sort, and there should be a screen voltage on a number of them. And so I went through carefully checking that. You can see the tube bases sitting right here. And the result of that was, surprising to me a little bit, all the voltages are just about exactly right. So those two things, so that was a second video, which I'm not going to post, of me testing all those voltages and finding nothing out. So that's kind of the deal here. I'm trying to avoid posting videos that don't go anywhere, even though the journey might be kind of fun. The end result is nothing beneficial. So I'm going to skip those two videos that I've told you about now. Today, what I want to try is signal tracing, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's gone through my head here, because I can't change this capacitor yet, and I'm looking for things to do that might be helpful. One of the things I decided to do was just stop for a minute and think hard about everything, and the result of that was actually quite productive. So I'm going to run through my thoughts, and then we're going to get out the signal tracer, and we're going to look for a lack of signal. So my thinking here is really starts with observations of the magic eye on the radio, and the magic eye doesn't move, or barely moves. In fact, you have to jam a huge signal into this radio to get that magic eye to move a significant amount. So the magic eye is triggered by the rectified output of the IF. No magic eye, maybe the rectified output of the IF is low. If the output of the IF is low in terms of the rectified voltage that's used for AVC, chances are the audio is low too for the same reason. And in fact, in this radio we have low audio and low AVC. If you assume for a minute that those two observations are actually the same observation, then we can kind of focus in on what the problem might actually be, or at least zoom in on the area of the problem. So we can start right with the rectifier tube. We can say, oh, the rectifier tube, detector tube. The detector tube is no good. The diodes in it are no good. But I've tested them, and they tested okay. So we know that's probably not the problem. Since the audio is low, you might think the triode in the detector tube must be weak, but that wouldn't explain the low AVC rectified voltage. What those two things are suggesting is what's coming out of the detector diode is low for both AM and FM. This is another aspect to it. Both AM and FM have the same low output. So what do they have in common? They have nothing really in common until just past the detector, where the output is fed to the audio. Okay, this is new thinking on my part right now. So if that's the problem, then what we would expect to find is strong output from the IF before the detector for both AM and FM. Then after the detector, something's missing. And that would suggest the detector tube or the detector circuits directly are responsible for low output of both AM and FM. So everything's pointing at the detector. Is this the detector tube? I think so. Yeah, I'm pointing right in there. And I think that's where we're going to start kind of poking around with the signal tracer. So I do have a vintage signal tracer here, which I'm going to switch on. Can you hear the hum that comes from this already? This guy has his own hum. So now the way this works, this is a very, very sensitive radio receiver, if you like. This is not a heterodyne radio receiver. It's a tuned radio frequency receiver. It's an old style radio, but it makes it a good instrument to use. I have a ground here, which I'm going to stick on the chassis. Unfortunately, this guy comes with some short leads here, so I may have to move things around a bit. Look at the size of that probe. This masking tape is just holding this cap on here. That's all it's doing. And there's the actual probe sticking out. Why is this so big? Is it because they want it to be comfortable in your hand? No, it's got a vacuum tube right inside of it. And the grid is produced onto this pin. So when I touch this against something, I'm touching the grid of a tube that's sitting right inside here. That's why this cable's a little busy. And that's to shorten this as much as possible, to shorten the wire going to the grid as much as possible, because if you're going to make this sensitive, then anything that this picks up is going to come out of the speaker over here. Now this thing can be operated as a radio receiver, and it's a 2-band radio receiver. It's really intended for repair of AM broadcast band radios. It's not really intended at all for FM sets. But that won't stop us anyway, because whatever's happening is happening to both AM and FM. So I can leave the radio on an AM band and go ahead and test it and still get, I believe, valid results. So what comes out of the IF? Where should we start here? We can start almost anywhere. Why don't we start with what is coming out of the IF and reaching the first grid. Reaching the detector here. I'm not thinking hard about what I'm saying. So the IF cans in here, by the way, you can see them here and here, and they have in them both the transformers for the AM band and the transformers for the FM band, which is very typical. And so the IF strip is actually shared at 2 frequencies by AM and FM. So on AM it's 460 kilohertz, and on FM it's 10.7 megahertz going through here. So same basic circuit, but because of frequency differences, the signal will travel through different components. So the FM stuff goes through different coils, or is reactive. That's actually the right word for it. Reactive in a different set of coils than the AM, much lower AM IF signal. So somewhere I have to detect the output of, I think I'm pointing right at it, frankly, the output of the IF, where it goes over to this tube, goes through a rectifier or diode, and then the diode part there's a DC voltage, and at that point you can recover the audio successfully in a useful way to be sent to the speaker. I think that's all occurring right here. I think. What is going on? So this is a shield. This is a signal wire. This is a shielded cable. And it's of interest to me because right at the detector tube, usually, almost always, there's a connection to the grid, back to the grid of the detector tube, coming back from the volume control, where the volume control is way over that away, over here. See shielded wires traveling here and there. Okay, so I got the whole radio backwards here. So whole radio backwards. This is the mixer tube we've been pointing at. That's okay, it doesn't matter. This is actually the detector tube up here. So here is the shielded cable right here, and it's going up into the volume control area. So it's hooked up right to a particular terminal here. So this is almost certainly the detected audio coming back to the triode in here. So this is a good starting point right here. What do we hear right there? There's also going to be a diode output, but I don't think there's wires coming off it. I'm going to have to figure out which pin it is to hit the diode, and we can just listen to them all, really. First, I have to get some kind of signal received by this radio so we can detect it with the signal tracer. And we could use the radio, because the radio sensitivity is so low, doing it with a regular radio station is really not practical. So I'm going to flip this on and get this out of here. It's just sitting here. By the way, one of the things that I got trapped in when I decided to do the tube checking down here was hunting through my tubes for a replacement for this guy. And that's one of the reasons I didn't post videos for a couple days, because I spent a couple days once again improving my tube collection, and I'll proudly show you it now. There it is, down under my bench. All that stuff down there is tubes. That's not quite all of them. Yeah, I guess I have maybe 1,000 tubes. I'm not even sure how many I actually have. But what I did was I took a whole bunch of tubes that I have that are TV tubes and other less interesting tubes, and I went through them all to try to spot a replacement for this. And in doing that, I registered them all. I wrote them all down on a list, so I now actually have an inventory of all but maybe 100 tubes. Fantastic, good for me. See, I've been busy even though I'm not posting videos. And so we've got the signal generator going over here. Let's see if I can just keep a focus on what I'm doing. That's usually one of my challenges. Keep a focus. If you read my report cards from grade 3, you'd see my teacher at that time also agreed. Jim has trouble focusing. Yeah, still do. It's a great way to go through life. So we might as well start this guy up. Just looking to make sure everything's okay. Speaker's connected. Power's in. Volume's down. Switch is on. There we go. So the B plus voltage in this radio is around 250 to 260 volts, which is just about exactly what the schematic suggests. Here's all the alignment adjustments here, which sooner or later we're going to get at. Maybe this isn't all of them. There may be more here and there. Let me hook up the output from the signal generator. I want to hook it up on the antenna, which is very inconveniently located back here. I think it's this one. the radio's, I've left it on phono. Okay, that's AM of some sort. Perfect. That's the guy. That matches with my impression of this. Let me just swing this way. Okay, put this onto the chassis. Kind of expecting the radio to go quiet at that point. I think we're tuned to around 9. You see, that's where the signal generator still is, around 9. See if we can find it. Let's tune the radio to get there. Let's not tune the radio because I think the pointer is interfered with. Yeah, the pointer is interfered with. So we'll tune the signal generator. Where's the pointer? Pointer's way at one end. Oh my gosh. Excuse me. We don't want that. We want it in the middle. What's holding the pointer? What's happening here? Oh. Oh my gosh. Really? What? Okay, I see what's holding it here. So my white bracket. What's happening? So I thought I had the radio turned down, it was turned up. Oh yeah, I did turn it up. Look at that, it's coming to life. Big opportunity just presented itself. What is it? Oh my gosh, it went away. Oh no, what is it? Something is happening. What is it that's happening? What's happening? Where'd that come from? I was fiddling with the volume control when that happened. I was also fiddling with the tuning. Oh my gosh, what was that? Button. Yes, let's clean all these buttons here before we go any further. Let's do that. I have been fooled by more than one radio on dirty slide switches, especially like this, where it seems like everything else is wrong, and it turns out to be these slide switches. Now, how to clean those? The actual switch mechanism is down below here, down under here. So I gotta look for a place to spray in some cleaner. Where would that be? So one way is to switch the radio off, tip it up, so these are facing up, and then just hose down the fluid down through these slots. That's a lot of fluid you're going to have to get in there. Wow, I don't really see from up here. From down here, rather. Let me turn this set off. It is off. Before I get myself in trouble, it is off. Let's just make absolutely sure. Pull that out. Yeah, let's take a look at this from the top. before I get the WD-40 going. It could even, I'm not sure it would be these buttons. Maybe it could be one of these. Didn't I tried these. Tried all the buttons. None of them really screamed out, "Hey, I'm dirty," till just now. Look at them. Look at them. Pretty shiny where the actual contact takes place. See? And that would be from me doing this a few times. What about this one? Oh, pop it out. This is doing nothing, but the one back here, it actually looks pretty clean on the actual surface that makes contact. It's shiny there. Well, what I'm observing doesn't really prove too much. This one, the contacts are here, but it's really quite dirty. Same thing with this. Well, we'll clean this, so it can't be the problem. And now looking down in here through my screen. So first it's a porthole access. It's just a little hole there. Nah, I don't think that's going to help at all. I don't think the solution is underneath. By the way, that is the on-off toggle switch. It's like a standard toggle switch, sort of. They show you that because in a lot of these radios, that toggle switch is a problem. Okay, I'm going to flip this back over because I think the operation must be done from the other side. As I figure out how to hold it. Cleared the interference on the tuning, so the radio is now tuned roughly in the middle. It's way out of balance here, way out of balance. Just put some stabilizers in here. Good. Okay. Switch it back on. Oh, I gotta move it all over this way. Gotta have. Oh, I left this. I left this unplugged. Is there any way I can do this like this? Well, it's gonna clean this. Whoa, 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 whoa! Back it out, back it out, back it out. Let's do the cleaning here. Let's do the cleaning thing. Toothbrush for this. There we are. Yikes. We'll hold one in. This button just seems to release everything. It doesn't have any switches in here. That's the neutralizer. Orchestra is the neutralizer. base switch. Funny, the base is an on-off type switch, and the others are. If you push the base button, it stays in. It doesn't get rejected. Okay, so assumption is this guy's not causing a problem. I don't think it was in the first place. Push it on orchestra. Push it on orchestra, and oh, that scared the heck out of me. That's open. That's closed. Okay, I thought maybe orchestra opened all those switches, but it doesn't. Now I'm going to try to put this in. What are the chances I can do this like this? Just about nil, I would think. Nil is right. Let's try it with a little bit of a mirror. This is just so I don't pick up the radio and turn it over again. Should go right in. There it goes. Okay. Actually managed that. I take a lot of shortcuts that turn into long cuts. In fact, my father, when we were driving, maybe going to my grandparents or something, my dad would suddenly say, "We're taking a shortcut." And usually these shortcuts turned into disastrous long journeys. One of them led us into the middle of a cornfield on a farmer's path or something. I remember. So that became the Linderness shortcut, and I'm afraid I take them, and I end up in the cornfield quite often. We're ready now? Yeah, I think so. Okay, volume down. Which way's down? I think that's down. Power on. If the volume's not down, we'll know soon enough. This way. Turn it down. Turn it down. Turn it. Yeah, I think I have it turned down. Okay, Mr. Radio, what do you sound like this time? You sound like nothing at all. Oh, I pulled the plug out, didn't I? I fixed it. Fixed it. Okay. There we go. Again, if you're hearing a hum, a slight hum, it's coming out of the signal tracer. Hand on the volume in case I got it backwards. Let's try turning it up. Yeah. Okay, it's back to its quiet self. But for a while there, it worked great. So I made no attempt to clean these switches. Duh. Let's find out. So I'm gonna work the switch here, and we'll see if it comes to life. Get my hand on the volume control. Really, what more proof do you need? Okay, sort of forgot about that. Looks like the only opportunity is just to fire cleaner right into the end of this. So we're gonna switch it off again. Turn the radio face down. Which will probably not the best for the radio, but Straining. Good. Everything's good. Pretty sure. Okay, so I gotta shoot this stuff basically down into those switches. Oh, there's a whole pile of components. I can see one now. I don't know. Let me just move this forward a little bit. See the capacitor there? There's components mounted underneath this whole switch panel. Oh boy. Let us hope none of those are requiring attention. How would you ever get to them? Oh my gosh, they are absolutely trapped under this panel. Well, here's hoping there's nothing in there that needs attention. Wow, that would be, I mean, you can see a little capacitor right there, but it's the kind that are fairly reliable. Oh boy. So I think what I'm going to start with, because I really don't want to soak this thing, into a disaster, I'm going to start with the AM band we're listening to. Okay, it's this one right here. I really have to blast it. Turn the can down. Let's just be extra safe here. Pull the plug out. Extra safe. Fire one. And down the other side here. Fire two. Oop. Ah. Right at the moment when you want to shoot the enemy. Gun falls apart. Wow, that's a big blaster. Okay, work the switch. You know, hold one switch up. I like to do this with the radio operating, but I haven't this time. Because with the radio operating, you can find out what's happening. Can I turn this thing on in this kind of shape with it laying like this? And I think the answer is yes, I can. This is actually a good position for this. Power on. Stand back with my cord in. So I'm doing this with the dim bulbs in case anything really horrendous should happen. Here we go. Perfect. Volume. Where's the volume? It's right on the volume control. Lift it off. How do you like that? Okay, that's enough proof. You gotta do all the buttons. Turned it off again. That's the cause of this. My gosh. Call me fooled again. Call me a fool again. Maybe that's closer to the right way. So we'll do the next button this way. Blast. And a blast. Is that just gas coming out of there? No. Okay. Okay, now I'll get the other one this way. How come FM is quiet then? How can this be responsible for both AM and FM? Well, all the switches are dirty? That's not quite believable. Maybe there's something more going on. Next one over. Next one over. Okay, next one will be the FM one. Now, the oils in here are going to penetrate. There's some pieces of material here. This oil is going to penetrate. I know some of you will be saying, "Don't do it," but my own experience is nothing bad ever happens. This one. This is the on-off switch, but there's a lot of wires going up to it. Let's give them a shot. Interesting. Interesting. This is not the on-off switch. The on-off switch, even though it's in line with it, it doesn't operate this. Only operated by FM. Just, you never know. You never know. Or to be more direct, it's easy to make assumptions. About the phono switch. Did I do it? I don't think so. Yeah, I did. I did do it. Okay, that's the off switch. Let's see if this brought the whole thing back to life. Should probably be smarter to do the switches right off the bat than wait so far into the process. No harm done though, even if you go fishing for fish that don't exist. You're bound to learn a lot about, the item you're working on. Let's just get this out of here. While you're fishing, other stuff comes up on your hook. Yeah, I didn't know that fish was in there. So even wasting time is not a waste of time with these radios. Let's just guard this a little bit. Okay, put the power cord back in. Volume is down. Power's on. Come back this way a little bit. That's right, the switch is off. We'll put on medium wave. And maybe we won't need to use this. Which has gotten a little warm now because the tube is inside there. So this gets nice and warm. Good in the winter. It's great in the winter. Tube equipment keeps you warm. Lots more volume. It's not quite what we want to hear. Getting ahead of ourselves on that. Why it is this only produces that noise. Let's go to the shortwave band. Let's put the antenna back on. Put the ground connection on here too. I started whispering. That means you're not supposed to hear that. Can we find this now? We're at a random frequency. My frequency counter is gone berserk over there. It's 9.3 roughly. Can we find it? The signal strength is very high, so we should be able to find it. 9.3 is, no. 9.3, just about where we are. Beautiful. Zero volume. That's a lot better. Let's gamble. Still dirty. That's good. That's pretty good. Okay, magic eye. Now we've solved the button problem, the magic eye may work better. Let's see what happens. So I will tune the signal generator back and forth. And we'll see what happens to it here. What just happened? Okay, so I'm having trouble for the first time with my signal generator. Son of a gun. This guy's been working flawlessly for years, but I noticed yesterday, not on video, that something new was happening. Sometimes these numbers are jumping around like crazy, and it's because of this guy. Usually they go all 8s. That's something different. And hopefully a dirty band switch here. It's just dropped right to nothing. There's no output now. Somewhere, somebody is not doing its thing. Could be dirt on any one of these. Oh, that's interesting. So this is the output control, and it's turned down very low. It was right on the edge. I just turn this up a little bit. All right, let's calibrate this. The way you calibrate it. Put this fully, flip that to CW. This can stay where it is. Raise this up until it reads 10. Good. Let's knock this down because I just jumped it up quite a bit. Put this back on 1000 Hertz. Then this becomes the handy control for changing the output level in a non-calibrated way. But if this is up, this was at 10 before, which is okay. I change this. Then we take 10 microvolts times 100 gives us 1000 microvolts, a millivolt. There should be a millivolt at the output here. A millivolt here. This antenna simulator here to give the radio the feeling that it's hooked up to a regular antenna, and to give the signal generator the feeling it's hooked up to a 50 ohm load. That's what this guy's doing. And this level of signal should be easily received. Easily received. Okay, we got stability up here again. Thank God I found my... So one of the things that I think is interesting about what we just heard, turn down the radio here, is the radio is completely silent. And then I tune in the signal, and then along comes the pure signal and a big hiss with it. The hiss part is interesting to me. What is it telling us? You see, the eye is working now a little bit. You know what we should do right away? At this point, hook up a regular antenna and see what we can pick up with this radio. This is a good idea to keep your eye on reality. That's a challenge these days. It's one of the things I like about engineering work is it's all truth-based. It's all science and truth and engineering and numbers and mathematics all works. And there's no argument between people about how things work unless somebody's just simply wrong, but eventually they become right and everybody's always in agreement and things happen and stuff like this gets built. As opposed to lots of other things in life that are just gray zone things forever. Now, get back to what you were doing. I'll put this antenna on. Oh, that was nice. Kind of enjoyed that. Let's turn the volume down. Now, this antenna may not be switched down to my shop. I have to make a run. Sounds like it is. Maybe not. What do we got? That sounds like a radio, doesn't it? So at this time of day, on this band, it's anybody's guess these days. What?
He who is unjust, let him be unjust still. He who is filthy, let him be filthy still. Yeah.
Right. Now, if at the close of probation your sins are not forgiven because they are unacknowledged and unconfessed, you will have chosen Satan's side. No matter how much more time Yah might give you, you would stay on his side.
Yeah, and he who is righteous...
My God. Why? And now a religious comment. Why doesn't God just kill the devil? Okay, moving on. So that particular station is very powerful. Not surprising to pick it up. I'm going... where am I going here? I'm going up in frequency. Should be more stuff up here. The pointer's in big trouble. Look, can you see it? The bottom doesn't want to go with the top. Yeah, we'll go down. Did I go right by it? No, right here, 9.3. But exactly on the dial.
Yahushua is the Lamb of Yah which taketh away the sin of the world. The blood of the sacrificial lambs was symbolic of the blood of Yahushua.
Blood, blood, blood. We're going down in frequency now. We're not so likely to pick anything up. 8, maybe just above 7, right in this area. I'm going to run and make sure the switch is thrown down here. So I'm going to tune in that station.
Be pure in heart and mind just by faith. It's so easy to slip into salvation by works, even without realizing. But I know
not even till the one.
You know,
when righteousness by faith is fully
enjoy for a moment.
It is living without sin. When the blood of Yahushua is accepted by faith, you are crucified with him by faith. Then, just as Yahushua was resurrected to life, you are resurrected to a new life in him. And this is done by faith in his righteousness. It's much more than just an intellectual understanding. It's actually an experience.
I like that. It reminds me of Galatians 2, which says, I am crucified with Yahushua, therefore
a little over
I
1.
no longer live. Yahushua lives in me, and the life which I now live in the flesh.
Okay, so the radio is now connected to an outdoor antenna. So let's see what we can get this time.
For me.
We've all sinned and come short of the glory of Yah, as it says in Romans.
We'll go up from here.
dijo que la situación en Cuba era coyuntural. Bueno, pues ahora...
Now the pointer starts getting caught on something here. You know what? It's caught on the lower pointer. I'm going to move the lower pointer. To do that, I have to switch to FM. Now the lower pointer is mechanically engaged. Hey, let's check it out. Volume is full. So we're not... These are weak stations far away. We really need to be down in this area. See, if I bring the pointer past this pointer, I think they collide. Bump, 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 bump. That's probably a very simple problem here. Oh, you know what the problem? I see what the problem is. The problem is the buttons. The buttons are depressing the string and the pointer downwards. The buttons are the problem. Did I just do something there? Okay, I'm gonna get a copyright hit any second. Here. By the way, what I've been doing on my videos where I record too much music and I'm worried about copyright hit is I chop out a second or two of music here and there. In my mind, what the YouTube computers are doing is they're working with a string of numbers. That's all computers do. So it's recognizing a pattern in a string of numbers and saying, "Oh, that's this song." It's amazing that it can do this. It must be comparing every little bit of sound to every other piece of music. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine how they do it, but they do it somehow. If I chop out little pieces, some of the numbers are missing, the number string is disturbed and doesn't match anymore. And that's what I think I'm doing when I chop out just a second here and there. Sometimes you can't even tell when you listen to the music. A whole second is missing and you can't even tell when you're listening to it. And neither can Mr. YouTube. Okay, now we can go way up here. You know what? I got nothing for an antenna. Nothing. Let's give it an antenna. Okay, we're going to get off of that because that's definitely going to give me. Now we got this yellow wire, just a wire hanging from my ceiling here. It's going to make it worse. Let's get a voice on here. Up in the cloud, like ashes to the ground, hoping my feelings they would drown, but they never did, ever lived, ever lived. Sounds good? Where's the voice?
Money, and just because you shouldn't, does not mean that you should. Sometimes you just do the right thing.
It's also, I mean, we've been talking about the business of it and the impact on you as an artist and a business person, but I'm also just thinking personally of that time. Like if I think about those couple weeks, we're in the middle of a pandemic that's disproportionately affecting black people and people of color. We're seeing the world erupt.
I think it's disproportionately affecting people who don't have as much wealth, and that might be people of color. I think most people would argue, yeah, that's true. That's the real thing. It's a lack of money. Nothing to do with people's background. It's ridiculous. It's a lack of money. Please talk about the real issue.
This other stuff.
Sorry about that.
That just had to be emotional for you.
It is very emotional. It's a thing that black people go do every day of our lives. Black people, indigenous people of this land, and people of color have had their culture taken from them, their languages taken from them. They've had their experiences appropriated, their music appropriated. And all those things matter to us, and our names have been taken from us from the very beginning. White people have taken things from us. So it needs to stop. In the wake of what is going on, it has been very emotional. But I don't have time to be emotional right now.
Should push the orchestra button. Well, I don't hear much change, but then I'm using a fairly small speaker here. There's no bass response, so the bass control, maybe I can't hear it because of the speaker. Doesn't seem like any of the treble controls do anything on this radio. But it's working nice.
As a
some kind of volume related distortion. I could hear it on some other things we were listening to, but if you turn the volume right up, you get distortion. Though there's still more to figure out here, but not bad. Let's just check AM. There's so much AM I can't. What? Look at this. Where's all that coming from? Wow! Look at that eye go! Look at that eye go! So these are noise signals. Oh, she's working 100% now. Look at that. Unmodulated noise signal. Whopping noise signals. That's really kind of mysterious. Now we should get some stations down in this area.
Like I noted, and I'm glad to hear some of your insights to the audience today. Greatly appreciate it. Hey, thank you so much for having me. You got it. Ryan England, biostatistician teacher in Newmarket. We had a great direct message conversation about hot tubs and saunas, and just him meet you guys.
So that's the outdoor antenna that's doing that. This is the loop. Not much coming from it, I think. Okay, so I'm going to aim the antenna by turning the whole receiver now and find out if that's really why it's not receiving this fairly decent station. Let's do a couple. Let me straighten something up here. Get myself in trouble. Excess wires out of here. Okay, antenna's this way. I think it's actually better this way. Let's see.
We'll get to that. Global News Radio station.
There's a new online grocery delivery service. It's going on by Sobeys. Robots delivered by teammates. From a warehouse, not a store, with the food you actually ordered. Here during 1-hour delivery windows. Voila! Try it online at
The tone really changes with the volume control.
Voila by Sobeys. Your groceries delivered.
Let's see what we can do here.
See website for details.
Ladies and
This is the
gentlemen,
bass button.
the wait is over. The iPhone you wanted for like forever is
Orchestra.
now Freedom Mobile for absolute
Well, that changed
zero.
something.
That's
We're
right.
on
$0 upfront on your phone, $0 extra monthly, and $0
Scratch.
extra after 2
Speech.
years. Now get iPhone SE
Sprack.
included with
Sprack.
a $65 a month big gig unlimited
Orchestra.
data plan. Yes, included.
Solo.
That's a whole lot of power and style
Jazz.
for a whole lot of
Oh, jazz is great.
zero.
I like
Visit
jazz.
freedommobile.ca for details. Conditions apply.
It's the dog days of summer. Post a video of your dog
Controls on the
social
front.
media with the hashtag global news
Oh, yeah.
dog
There we go.
days, and you can win $100 gift cards from CF shops at Don Mills
And then
lots more.
bass.
globalnews.ca/dog days of summer for more info.
I think it's making a difference.
Alpine Credit. Hi, I'm calling to
Yeah.
get a debt consolidation loan. No
It's just a bit of a small speaker.
Maybe. Okay.
Beautiful. It's all working now. Turned it Turned out to be the buttons. The buttons. Okay. So much. I don't need to do this signal tracing thing. We got the problem. Funny, isn't it? The problem with this old radio, the main problems have been completely mechanical. Stuck shaft, lubrication to fix it, dirty buttons, same lubrication to fix it, and changing all those capacitors still very worthwhile because the tests show the capacitors are bad, and we can't know now if I had sorted out the buttons first, if with the bad capacitors this thing would have come to life. Probably would have. It'd be more lifer than it was. Anyway, that's great. Okay, so it just goes to show once again, you never know where the problem actually lies. And sometimes, certainly I'm guilty of overthinking things when it could be something so simple like buttons. I tend to like the other kinds of problems more, so I tend to go for them. Great. So we still got to wait a couple days for the last capacitors to come in. You know what? I might switch off this project for a day or two and do something else. Because I've really reached a point here where I don't know how much more I need to do with this at this point. Great. It's great. Thanks a lot for watching. This was a lot better than what I was the last two videos. This one had an outcome. See ya.